for us as Muslims, we take our concepts and our visualization of these things from the Quran. Because the Quran describes heaven, the Quran describes a new earth. Then it tells us alternation of night and day. In the ships that sail the seas with bounty for people, and we know at the very forefront of our minds the disaster that occurred with Air France recently and what happened, and our minds go and our prayers with the families and the people who passed away in that disaster. But ships sailing in the seas here also carries with it the vulnerability of human beings. When you're carried, transported, whether by air or sea, you are vulnerable. You're vulnerable to nature and so forth. And sailing the seas, this has a particular image and must have had for those to whom these verses first came to the Arabs. In the water which God sends down from the sky. Now, ladies and gentlemen, imagine yourself in a desert in the Arab world, in Saudi Arabia or somewhere, where water is very, very difficult to get hold of. Water is seen as very sacred, very important. And here, God is reminding that this water gives life. I know water is plentiful to us. You know, you switch on the tap and it drips, and we're brushing our teeth and we let it drip continuously. But water for many people in this on earth is very difficult. And Allah goes on to remind that the earth was barren, and with the water came life and scattering of all sorts of creatures in it. And Allah also reminds us here in this verse that change of winds and clouds that run their appointed course. What is being said in this verse here is that everything has an appointed course, everything has a destination, everything has a purpose, and everything runs clockwork according to its purpose. And beautifully this verse ends, and you'll find many verses in the Quran ending like this. There are signs in all of this for those who use their minds, i.e. please ponder on this. And that's what we'll ask you. The next slide, which hasn't come up, is about rizq. Rizq in Arabic, in English, means sustenance. And this is chapter 27, verse 64. Anybody who's taking notes would want to know that, because they want to check out what I'm saying is correct or not correct. And Allah says in this verse, again a rhetorical question, who is it that gives you provision from the heavens and earth? Is it another God besides God? Say, show me your evidence then, if what you say is true. And again, we are being reminded that our provisions for sustenance comes from God, God alone. And He's also asking us, is there another God? And then Allah is teaching us, sometimes when we are, sometimes we have to be apologetic to be Muslim, but actually that's what we are Muslim. We're very much like any other people who profess to a way of life or a religion. And Allah is teaching us, Muslims, to ask people who make allegations against Him, saying that He is not the sustainer, He isn't the one who created. Ask Him, show me your evidence if what you say is true. So we're very, very much evidence-based. Of course, belief is blind. You can't prove, as it were, the existence or non-existence of God. And a Sufi mystic once was asked to prove the existence of God, and he said very nicely, prove me that there isn't God. Faith, ladies and gentlemen, is ultimately believing in the unseen, because you are happy with what you believe. And once you believe in Allah, you take form. Oh, excellent. I am on number 6, Mizan, the balance. We have arrived at the balance now. 6. Thank you. This is chapter 55, and it's verses 5 to 13. And the author is with us. Yeah, it's that one. I don't know if you can see it, ladies and gentlemen. It's being maximized. Once it's being maximized, you can't listen to me. And this verse reads, those of you who have very good eyesight, the sun and moon follow their calculated courses. The plants and trees submit to His designs, to God's designs. He has lifted the sky. He has set the balance in order for you not to exceed, weigh with justice, and not fall short in it. He laid the earth for His creatures. with its fruits, its palm trees, with shade clusters, its husked grains, its fragrant plants. Which then of your Lord's gift do you both? I think it should be do you deny this? That last word should be. Now here, you'll find verses in the Quran always trying to evoke our mind's eye, our emotional intelligence, our imagery. These verses are full of images, Earth or its creatures with its fruits. Palm trees have a special relevance for the Arabs and those who require the shade of the palm tree, and so forth. And then, in this verse, how God so beautifully talks about fragrant plants. The Syrian ambassador recently told me that we had an event on February the 13th, evening of February the 13th, and you like the title, Loving the Environment, Should Muslims Go Nuclear? So the Syrian, just before Valentine's Day, we were told we couldn't do it on Valentine's Day, but so we did it the evening before. But the Syrian ambassador, he came and he reminded us that in Damascus, there were 26 varieties of the rose. And he said in his search for the rose in England, he only found 6. And we reflected upon that. Flowers with fragrance with beauty. I know our new neighbors love roses, but just imagine, for us, these plants, they are part of creation, they are part of beauty of creation, and they have a purpose. I suppose one purpose is to make our wives happy when we present them with flowers. Slide number 7. And I've told myself that I'm not going to speak more than 20 minutes. You know we lawyers, we talk a lot, so if I hit the 20-minute mark, just shut me down. Slide number 7, and I think I've got about 4 or 5 more to go. Slide number 7 is quite important. Khalifa. This concept of Khalifa, I know there are people who just think it's on a state level and so forth. This concept is very, very important. The verse is going to come up. I think they will, actually. Surah 2, verse 30. Excellent. I'm very glad I'm being helped out here. When your Lord told the angels, I'm putting a successor. Khalif means a successor, or a viceroy, or a trustee on earth. This is what the angels said. How can you put someone who will cause damage and bloodshed? The angels knew our character to an extent for as human beings, the bad things we do. So that's what they asked. But of course, God's knowledge is far beyond theirs, and it is up to God who He puts on earth. And so Allah put us on the earth. And the story of Adam and Eve and so forth in the Abrahamic space is very, very similar, and I'm not going to go into detail on that. But Khalifa is normally translated as viceroy, or deputy. The meaning of the term also conveys a sense of successor. And why we are seen as a viceroy or a deputy is because the earth is like a trust given up to us. Muslims, we believe that the earth is given as a trust to humankind, and as trustees of the earth, and in Arabic the word is amana, we have to deal with it in a manner as we are entrusted to deal with God's creation. So it is sacred, it's a sacred trust. Have you, the Prophet, considered God created the heavens and the earth for a purpose? We've alluded to this earlier. And He could remove all of you and replace you with a new creation if He wished to do so. Again, a bit of stick and carrot to human beings. Get on with the work that you've been given, do it in a rightful manner. If you're not, the Quran is replete with stories of new people and new generations being brought forward.